In less than 3 weeks since release, I unlocked every gold and diamond camo in Black Ops 2 on the new PlayStation 5 port, and I'm here to let y'all know how it's done in 2026. 14 years after the original release, this is the first time I've done most of these challenges, and there are so many things I've learned over the last 3 weeks that can help you get whatever camos you want as fast as possible. This isn't a total in-depth guide, but I'm sure there will be helpful information for whichever guns or categories you guys are struggling with. Most of the videos about these camos are as old as some of the kids that are beating you in Warzone, so let me know down below if you want an updated deep dive into anything specific where I can show off class setups and walk through specific maps, modes, and playstyles that'll help you get done in no time without losing so much sanity in the process. You can stick with me through the whole thing or use the timestamps in the description to get to the sections that are most useful to you. So here's a quick look at my combat record at the time of completion. Keep in mind that I did take a couple breaks from the grind here and there to have some fun on this masterpiece of a game, so this isn't strictly what it took for me to complete everything, but it will give you an idea of where you might be by the end of it. I'm a little over halfway through Prestige 7 with under 5 days played, but there are definitely ways that you could get done with it faster than I did. You can manage your level unlocks better, have higher headshot rates, play different modes, or just straight up be better than I am, but this is where I ended up going pretty strictly for camos after my first Prestige. So a few things I wish I knew before starting this whole grind that could save you a little bit of time. Firstly, unless you're dead set on being able to say that you did all the weapons, or you really want that weapon master calling card that admittedly does feel pretty sick to have, it probably isn't worth it to do every single challenge, and you could save yourself a lot of time and headaches by only going for the guns that you'll use a lot, especially since the DLC camos are free now, and you can just throw Ghost or Weaponized 115 on everything and never have a shortage of sick looking loadouts. I originally started going for guns that I wanted to have on trickshot classes, and eventually decided I was in too deep to stop, and I was only at the tip of the iceberg. Second, assuming that you've already decided that you're all in, you're probably thinking that you're going to go down the line taking down categories one at a time, but you will thank yourself big time if you let launchers break that linear process. I'll touch more on it in the launcher section, which is up next, but the last thing you want to do is leave launchers for last to do on their own, or realize down the line that you should have been working on them the whole time. Number 3 here is that you cannot worry about your combat record. The KD is already gone, just say goodbye to it. You might be able to keep up on a good KD while you're starting out or while you're doing easier classes, but there's going to be times that will absolutely tank your KD and you can't consider it to be representative of your own performance anymore. This is a choice you have to make of whether you want to prioritize your stats or your camo and calling card flex. Caring about your stats and doing challenges at the same time will either make you beat yourself up over not doing as well as you could or should be doing, or it's going to make you take an eternity to get anything done, because you're going to be taking any kills you can get over lining up headshots or making sure that all your kills qualify for whatever challenge you're actively working on. Fourth, if you're planning on working up through the prestiges instead of just holding at level 55, your permanent unlock tokens can be super valuable at keeping a steady stream of both leveling up and getting challenges done at the same time. You shouldn't be sitting at level 55 for the entire time you work on a high level gun like the AN94, or just waiting to level up so you can work on the next weapon in your category. Use your tokens and use them wisely. Fifth, and I promise we're getting close to the end here, is that it's okay to take challenges in steps. Optimizing your process will save you time, but if you're worried about bloodthirsties while you don't have perks or attachments on a gun that really needs them to do well, you're going to stress yourself out and maybe even take longer than you have to get those no perk and no attachment kills, because you won't be playing the right way to get them done quicker. Next, when you build your classes, remember the goal. You're not trying to win a CDL match, you're on a mission to get something done that isn't just getting kills and avoiding deaths. The classes are customizable, so customize them. Your needs are not typical and should have a build catered to them. Number 7 is that you need to know when to leave a lobby. If the game is dying out and you just can't find enough people to target, you don't have to be there. If your current playstyle is getting caught on to and it's not working anymore, you don't have to just deal with it or change the way you play the game. Just change the enemies or change the map to fit what you need at that time. Alright, last one here, and this isn't for everyone, is that the assault shield can be pretty helpful if you unlock it way earlier than you plan on actually working on it. It's not just its own weapon, it can be a turtle shell to help protect your back while you're in a compromised position and buy you a little bit of extra time to get to safety. This could be more helpful than you might think when you're running around with a combat knife or a ballistic knife and you don't want to get shot in the back by an enemy while you stab his teammate. If you're going for total weapons mastery, launchers should be getting done in parallel with your other first steps. The last thing you want is to be focused entirely on taking down score streaks and making no other progress in the meantime, just waiting for enemies to throw them up. You need an absolute ton of score streak takedowns for the SMA and the FHJ, so your best bet for these is probably to choose a mode like Ground War or Nuke Jacked, at least for your first categories, so there are more score streaks going up that you can quickly grab to make a little bit of progress at the same time as another weapon category. This is only emphasized harder once you get onto the challenges, having to specifically take down a Dragonfire with the SMA and an absolute ridiculous 10 enemy-controlled score streaks with the FHJ, alongside the dedicated AGR challenge. The RPG stands on its own in the category, acting like a different type entirely with its progression requirements. This time you need kills, like on players. Again, smaller maps with more people is going to be big on this one, so you have more frequent opportunities to get kills, especially multi-kills with these unbelievably inaccurate rockets. This one needs to take a little bit more of the foreground than the others, but it could do well paired with the assault shield or the combat knife. Just use your rockets and then switch until you die. Flak Jacket is obviously going to be pretty essential here. Scavenger, on the other hand, was mostly useless to me the way I was going for them, since packs don't drop from explosive kills, but if you're running something else on your class that could get them to drop, it could be worth having. Snipers were my first category, mainly because that's just the way I enjoy playing the game, and I didn't plan to do everything from the beginning, so snipers were just what was most important to me. This is one of the easiest categories in my opinion, because there are no significant roadblocks to your progress. It'll happen pretty quickly without setting hefty restrictions on your playstyle, for the most part. The most annoying thing you'll have to do for snipers is long shots, but once you're going specifically for them, 10 isn't too demanding. There are spots on most maps that you can sit and wait for an enemy to take their position on the other side. If I make an in-depth guide for snipers, I'll compile some of my favorite maps and lines of sight to get this done easily. For your DSR, Ballista, and XPR, you're going to get one-shots in core no problem like you would expect any sniper to, but the SVU acts more like a DMR. If you're playing core like I did for most of mine, you'll have to be conscious about aiming specifically for the head. The best modes for this in my opinion are free-for-all if you're using the last 3 snipers, or for all of them if you prefer team modes, then make sure you're picking one with mostly stable spawns like Domination or Demolition. You'll probably want to avoid anything like Headquarters or Hardpoint with unpredictable spawns, rapid direction changes, and quick reactions that are just putting you at a disadvantage, having to wait to scope in and then not be able to follow up with most of the snipers quickly as the whole team spawns on you at once. Continuing with the one-shot kill guns, shotguns are half straightforward and half nightmare. The R870 and the KSG will naturally one-shot in core modes and have no problem getting you through the challenge camos with ease, but the others, the S12K and the M1216, will take a lot more conscious effort to get those one-shot kills. Hardcore is pretty much a must for these, and even then you have to get a little close for comfort on a lot of your kills in order to get the one-shot. These aren't really meant to get one-shots in the wild, so they require a lot more mindful of a playstyle and some extra time to get going for your first one-shots, but they're not too hard in either mode, core or hardcore, once you're done with them. The spam is gonna be your friend with these. Aside from that, it's a pretty short category, having only 4 weapons like the snipers and the LMGs, just a little bit frustrating for 2 of them. Not much else to say that wouldn't be a little too detailed to take up a bunch of time in this overview. While having the most weapons in any category, ARs didn't take long at all. In fact, some ARs weren't even fully leveled to the first prestige by the time I was done getting gold on them. With these, you have a pretty long effective range and strong aim assist at those ranges with very quick challenges. No revenge medals to get here. It doesn't matter so much whether you play core or hardcore for these. I stuck to hardcore for mine to get the one-shot headshots, just helpful to my playstyle, but it's fine if that's not your thing. All of the challenges with the exception of taking off your attachments and perks comes naturally, and you'll probably even be done with these before it's time to put them back on. Class setups are going to help you massively with ARs if you customize them properly. For now, I'll just leave it at saying, use red dot until you get target finder, and then leave that on until it's time to take off all your attachments. LMGs are probably the shortest of all the categories. They're exactly like the ARs, just slower with more ammo. Pre-aim your angles more before peeking, and take advantage of wallbangs. If you want to get done fast, you're going to be that guy with an LSAT target finder and FMJ, either spamming through walls or holding down a choke point shooting at the top of every red diamond that pops up on your screen. Again, using the assault rifles as a baseline, SMGs are going to be mostly similar, just with less effective range, making you get more up close and personal. This one's going to make you get aggressive, especially with the Scorpion and the Camo. The most annoying part of doing SMGs by far is getting 30 revenge medals for each one. They're not particularly hard, just a little bit more time consuming than you would think they should be. If revenge medals are the last thing you have to do to get gold, which it probably is going to be on most of the SMGs, the best way I found to do it is mainly just to hold a grudge and keep in mind exactly who you need to get every time you die. One strategy is that you could just try and streak up and hope that the person that killed you last is somewhere in that streak to get the revenge medal off them, but that's going to take longer than just keeping laser focus on one guy and heading immediately back to the area where they killed you. There's going to be quite a few times where it actually just spawns you right there, because we all know how the spawns are in every single COD up to this day. But pay attention to the top of your screen, because once you get it, you may as well just die and move on to the next one. Giving the enemy a kill can actually be a pretty good decision if you've already got the revenge medal for that life, or if you know the person you're giving the kill to is going to be easy to get back to. Now, I was planning on talking about how you should take advantage of dead and dying lobbies for revenge medals, because less enemies means your next kill is more likely to be the right one, but as of recording this section, they claim to have fixed lobbies not backfilling today. Time will tell how that actually goes, but if your lobby's shrinking, it could help a lot to stay. Pistols are the first category that can feel like a massive thorn in your side, and one of two major obstacle categories, all thanks to one specific gun. They're all mostly straightforward, except for the Executioner, basically just nerfed semi-auto SMGs. The Executioner, though, absolutely has to be used super close, like within knifing range even. But remember, you have to aim at the very top of the head, because it does behave like a sad little fucked up shotgun, and the shots are going to spread down to the body and take away the headshot you deserve. Remember though, while acting like a shotgun, you don't need one-shot kills, you need headshots. So it's okay if the headshot takes more than one shot to pull off, or if the enemy's damaged already. So take big time advantage of stunning equipment like shock charges and concussions. Whether or not you want to run these dual wield for your challenges is personal preference. I chose not to at any point, but if you ever want to, it would probably be for your bloodthirsties. I'm not really going over class setups here, but for the way I was using the gun, I absolutely had to have long barrel and fast mags. Long barrel is going to get a little more range out of your wet fart of a gun, and fast mags is just going to let you reload all of your shots at once instead of loading them in one at a time. For the rest of the pistols, pretty much just make sure you have a red dot on it. Long barrel's helpful for something like the 5.7, and I generally prefer extended mag for the others. Pretty much all of the pistols were done in hardcore for me, other than the Executioner, where I flip-flopped between core and hardcore because it didn't feel to me like it made enough of a difference in my progress to go lobby hopping, while Nukejack flips between its modes. And then we have specials. This is the one I would probably be most inclined to make a complete guide on because there's so much trouble going in blind. Maybe even a separate video for each weapon. It's that bad. It has the biggest variation of weapons of any class. The entire category is some kind of troll from Treyarch to punish completionists. This will seriously drive you insane to no end. For each one, you simply start with a different number of kills. Very straightforward, but also very annoying on the assault shield and the combat knife having absolutely zero range to work with, and it feels like you're both oiled up whenever you try to melee with either. Without going super in-depth and taking forever to discuss, the assault shield is all about dedication. Use stuns with fast hands, flak jacket, and tac mask. One big thing to note with the assault shield: do you ever see someone that appears to be looking 90 degrees away from you and somehow still shoots you without turning? That exact same thing will happen to the enemy. Sometimes it'll look to them like you're just facing your shield in an entirely different direction and they have a free opening to take shots around your shield. This is on top of the already bad registration of hits, and some will go straight through your shield, especially mid-melee attack. When using the riot shield, it's mostly personal preference whether you play core or hardcore. The shield will kill an enemy in a single bash in hardcore, but leave you more vulnerable to stray shots that otherwise would have given you enough time to grab a kill or run away and regenerate your health. The survivability gained in core is not free though. It'll take twice as many bashes to kill an enemy, forcing you to spend more time on most enemies, focus completely on one target, unable to protect yourself from others. The combat knife is also very annoying, but I would definitely say it's more doable. You do have a lunge attack that'll sometimes help you close small gaps, but even this will miss more than it feels like it should. Revenges and bloodthirsties are going to be the most annoying parts about the combat knife. Same as before with Revenges, you kinda just have to remember who you're aiming for and try to play off what you know about their playstyle and positioning. The ballistic knife though is just an easier combat knife. You get a better melee attack that will lunge into the enemy and hit much more often, along with the ability to shoot knives out of it and actually take some enemies out at reasonable ranges. The icing on the cake here is that the ballistic knife has no hard challenges at all, and the bloodthirsty challenge only requires 2 where the combat knife required 5. One little trick you could probably see right away is for your Art of War camo, you can just shoot your knives into any surface when you spawn and pick them back up. After that, every kill you get by shooting the blades uses reclaimed ones. The crossbow is also pretty much just using the weapon until you get to 2 challenges, which require a bloodthirsty, while only spawning with 6 total arrows, and one which requires you to get a kill with every bolt in a mag. When you're going for that perfectionist, if your first bolt doesn't get a kill, just reload. If you use enough bolts without killing, you're either going to have to pick up more with scavenger, or just die to respawn with more. The bloodthirsty is a bit more tricky, having less margin for error. At the point when I did my crossbow, I don't think I had scavenger unlocked, and I refused to use a token on it, but if you have it available, it's a great option for this. I'm not sure if packs drop from crossbow kills, my guess would be no because it's an explosive, but it would still come in handy as an option just to find packs from other fallen players by chance. Without scavenger, you'll have to land 5 out of your 6 arrows on target, which can be incredibly frustrating. For the ballistic knife and crossbow, you may have guessed, but sticks and stones can help you bang those kills out fast and maybe get some challenges done if you're lucky. I found it pretty hard to get into sticks and stones lobbies in the party modes playlist. Actually, I didn't find one at all in my time trying, but the place where I saw it more often, and it was actually more beneficial here, was Nukejacked. Having 18 people all stuck to using the same weapons as you are on small maps when you have something to get done with them is a huge blessing. Another great thing about sticks and stones is that for these, the game will always end based on a time limit instead of when a player hits the score limit, so your games won't fall short because of all the players in Nukejacked. And with that, hopefully you've learned something new or picked up some pointers about getting these diamond camos for yourself. If you find yourself wanting anything more in depth that isn't from a video old enough to be in high school, let me know down below and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have or make full in-depth guides diving a lot deeper into any weapons or classes that y'all need some help with. If you liked the video, go ahead and like and subscribe for more content. I'm trying to get videos out more often and stream more on YouTube and Twitch, so maybe even follow me on there. Thanks for watching, I greatly appreciate y'all's time, and I'll see you in the next one.
To love each other, I don't think we're in love.